So I've got two stories that kind of overlap a little bit. I want to get into accountable first. So I want to first talk about, and let me share the thumbnail. It means I have to go to the slideshow on and put the slideshow on like that, and then go like this. Yep. Okay, so that's accountable, right? So is accountable just another think tank, DNC think tank? What the hell is this organization? So who's accountable? What's going on here? So initially, I've been getting, because I have to redo how I'm doing the newsletter, or that I'm not getting my email news in a newsletter format from independentleft.media. I'm getting everybody else's newsletters and I'm having to sift through all this stuff. And I clicked on a Common Dreams article and it referenced a study by accountable.us. I'm like, I've heard of this organization, but who are they? So I decided to dig a little deeper. And then I saw that they were actually involved in a second article that we're going to get to next involving the Clarence Thomas thing. And they published something about accountability with the Supreme Court. But this one had to do with specifically the profitability of all the major food companies. And so I'm going to share this now. Let me go back. Slideshow off. Okay. So what it says is that as food prices remain stubbornly high for Americans, the three largest U.S. at-home food companies continue to pad profits while working to convince consumers that it wasn't their fault for prices have gone up. And it's a long report, and it's like 11 pages, and at the end it tells you that Mondelez, General Mills, and Kraft Heinz profited wildly from this. All right. So that's a nice watchdog type of organization. And I started looking into, okay, so who is this org? Because they also showed up in the Clarence Thomas thing. So the first thing I did was I watched their Who Are We video. So I'm like, all right, what's this all about? Watch. It's a minute. So let's watch it.
Corporations and special interests have too much power over our government and our economy. Working hand in hand with lawmakers, they rig the game in their favor, undermining our democracy, harming our environment, and pushing an economic and political agenda that benefits them at the expense of the American people. We're here to hold them accountable. Our high-impact investigative research exposes the connections between corporations, special interests, and government officials, shining a light on the truth for ordinary Americans. So together, we can create a democracy that is accountable to us, an economy that works for everyone, and a sustainable environment for future generations.
The stock video is a really red flag to me, to be honest.
Yep.
All right. This just screams like corporate speak to me, like I watch this and I'm like, red flags, red flags, red flags. Okay. What the hell is going on? Who are these guys and where did they come from? So then I go to their website. I'm like, okay, what's happening here? So let's look at this ticker across the top. Cost of MAGA default. Deny 926,000 families housing choice vouchers. Okay. Cost of MAGA default. Sabotage the Department of Labor's ability to protect millions of vulnerable workers. But it's only MAGA default, right? More red flags.
Yeah.
And it sounds very flowery. We're taking on the special interests, obstructing progress. This all sounds wonderful. And we've arranged our content by these different issues, corporate values and democracy and power and influence. But when you click on each one of these, what you find is it is very one-sided in a way that I've really never seen an institute like this that claims to be about accountability, only looking at one party and one side. We expose the truth for the people about Republicans. Yep. But not about what Democrats are doing. No corruption on the Democratic side. No acknowledgement that corruption even happens on the Democratic side. This is all 100%
Which means you'll
MAGA
probably
focus.
bite
So I'm like,
any lie from that side about the other side.
Right. Now, what are their priorities? And they have a whole thing about what their priorities are and what they're looking for. And okay, Americans value fairness and honesty and stand against conservative extremism. Agreed. The Democrats are also implementing conservative extremism, but they don't want to talk about that.
Yep.
They talk about, they've got a whole website about Leonard Leo, Mr. MAGA. All right. And he is a bad dude who has influence over a $1.6 billion nest
Ran
egg.
a bunch of bad boys.
Yeah, he's corn pop. And then we have another site that they have called Monitoring Influence. And how interesting, when we just talked about the last influence network with the censorship industrial complex, notice how none of the organizations within the censorship industrial complex appear anywhere in here because they don't want you to know about those. They only want to expose the corruption on the right. The Mercer Family Foundation and Freedom Works and the Ed Uline Family Foundation. Now, all of these things do funnel down as part of the censorship industrial complex, but on a much further down scale because they are not trying to censor people and now they have their own narrative that they're trying to push, for sure. And that's what the censorship industrial complex
I like their
will call out.
pop art design, though.
Right? But oh my goodness, right? So then the last thing that I did was I start looking at, okay, so now I'm now taking whatever they're saying with a grain of salt. I then go to, who are these people? Show our board and our leadership.
Who are these people?
Who are these people? Yeah, where's that? Come on, man, slipping.
What? Yeah,
Who are these
Can you
people?
find it quick?
That's sure.
May I have it somewhere?
Who are these people?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Right. So Kyle Herrig has dedicated his career to promoting the interests of all Americans and not just the rich and powerful. This is a nice bio. And he actually seems pretty legit and on the up and up. He leads the Congressional Integrity Project, which is a government accountability organization, focuses solely on the integrity of the legislative branch. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, it shed lights on members of Congress that engage in corruption to benefit themselves, allies, and special interests. Okay, cool. So this guy's all right. All right? Right. Except they wouldn't put him in as president of this TDS organization unless something wasn't right. So now I decide to look a little bit deeper. Tony Kark. And let's meet Tony. Tony is the executive
Make
director.
sure to enunciate.
Yes, Kark.
Those are also double R's, so you have to trill those.
Kark.
You have to roll those.
Right.
Kark.
He's Kark.
Tony Kark.
Before
That
joining
sounds
Accountable.
like the evil Spanish twin of Kit. You have Kit and Kark.
Wait, Tony served as the deputy campaign director for Protect Our Care, an advocacy organization that led the fight against the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. Let's keep Obamacare in place, folks. In 2015 and 16, Tony was the research director for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign.
Of course he was.
Now we're seeing what's going on. He was also
He one of the ones who wrote about that book, the ramen Five Guys filled room where they made up the Russia stuff. That book.
I don't know. That's a good question. But prior to his first role at Accountable and vice president of issue campaigns, Tony served as the vice president of policy and research at the Center for American Progress Action Fund. And before that, as a director at the Healthcare War Room. Okay. Oh, and by the way, he also served in other senior research and policy roles for Friends of Terry McAuliffe, Friends of the Clintons, and Democratic Senate and other Democratic Senate campaign committees. Right? So this is Tony. But it only gets worse, folks, because Sarah Bruno, our chief of staff,
Fuck you, Tony.
And she's the one who's hiring people. Now, she served as the executive director, most recently, of the Public Leadership Education Network. So this is an organization committed to increasing the number and diversity of women in public policy roles. So she's HR, right? She served She was actually pretty legit. I had something on her too. Now I can't remember what it was here, but it's very, I don't know. I don't know what her deal is. She served as the National Development Director at America Votes and at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. She had a nonprofit career at Boston Area Rape Crisis Center, which is good. There was something really weird. COO at the Truman National Security Project. That was a bit questionable. I need to look a little bit more into that one. Who was it? It was Angela Canterbury. And then, of course, Derek Morton underneath. But Angela Canterbury, these people. Okay, so she played a key role in exposing the cover-up of water contamination at Camp Lejeune, which is good. She's been a change maker for democracy. Hold on, where's my list of people? We're not live on Rockfin. Damn it. Hold on. I have a list of peeps. Okay, no, it's Lizzie Price I want to get to. Where's Lizzie Price? Our Director of Strategic Partnerships. What did she do before? She previously led efforts to expose corruption and malfeasance at highest levels of government and to educate public and policy makers about these critical issues. That sounds good, right? Except she's also led the communications effort of national and state organizations, including For Our Future, American Bridge, Correct the Record.
What the fuck?
Thank you. And Arkansas, New Hampshire Democratic Party. Don't like her. And then we've got Derek Martin, who is our Director of Research and Campaigns. Derek is also problematic, and here's why. Because in his previous roles, he's been involved in initiatives to defend the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, very good. Protect payday loan borrowers, also good. And discriminatory lending practices, very good. But prior to that, he spent several years consulting on electoral campaigns at the local, state, and federal levels about what? Not sure, but Derek also worked at the U.S. Department of Defense, supporting its counterintelligence mission within the IT supply chain and helping to devise risk mitigation strategies for the federal government. That sounds benign, but is not very benign.
Yeah, except, yeah, that's intel shit.
So now you have a coming together of the research director for the Hillary Clinton campaign, the head of communications for Correct the Record, and the current research director has a background in counterintelligence within IT supply. Can I scream red flag anymore at this MAGA screaming TDS organization that everything that they say now must be taken with a grain of salt? All right. Now, it doesn't mean
at them?
It doesn't mean that I do. No, I want to scream at everybody else what this is. So that's their website. The monitoring influence thing is pretty rough, but again, it's basically like a back. You know, it's a counter to the censorship industrial complex, where they're providing their view of who's influencing Republican networks specifically.
Yeah.
And that's fair, but that's not where most of the people are getting their news and information from, in also fairness. So that is accountable. So watch out for accountable. They're not here to help. They're here to definitely spin a narrative for the Democratic Party. There was something else I wanted to look at, was their partnerships. Let's go back 1 second here. Because I know that they had something about a partnership with the Democratic National Committee, I believe. Yeah, they call themselves a nonpartisan effort organization, except that they only look at one party. So how can they really be nonpartisan? They are 100% partisan. Show me where you found a Democrat guilty of anything, especially one that's tied to the Clinton administration, to the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton family, who's still involved in party politics. I'll bet there isn't any. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm guessing I'm not. That's accountable. All right. So,
Okay.
Gamer, welcome back. Anthony Weiner did go to jail for 21 months, correct? But I don't think that
Ask
it was.
me about.
I don't think that it was for the
wiener.
laptop. I think that that was more for like the chatting with women, underage women, maybe online, and showing
Yeah, he sent.
showing his wiener. It's Wiener's wiener or something. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was whatever.
Yeah.
It was basically like him in his underwear, but called it
There's
Wiener's
a joke
wiener.
in there somewhere.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. Okay, so fuck you accountable.us.